What's good, everybody? It is Ace here, back with another video for you guys. Today I am going to be making a prediction video for Rocket League NA Qualifier Regional 3. We're gonna find out the 4 teams from NA that are going to be making the major. Very exciting times. Regional 3 is always, the most nerve-wracking for the players, but it's also the best regional to watch as a viewer, as a fan, because there's just so much tension, there's so much excitement, wanting to know who's going to make the major. If we go ahead and look at the points right now, top 4 teams this season make the major. Right now, if it were to end today, Dignitas would be making that 4th seed, but obviously it does not end today. There are so many teams that are at 15, 1 point shy of Dignitas. There's OG, there's M80, there's Pirates, there's Space Station, NRG's in the mix, Shopify's in the mix, TSM's in the mix. So I'm going to be predicting what I think is going to happen in this bracket, completely unbiased. I don't have any of the scenarios written out or anything, so I'm just gonna be going just who I think's gonna win, and then we're gonna see who's gonna make the major based off of that. So let's get right into it. G2 versus Muffin Men. So this is gonna be easy win for G2. I mean, it shouldn't really be any other way. Besides that, it probably will be 3-0 to be honest. Oh yeah, I'll go 3-0 actually. I'll go 3-0. Squishy, he's retiring after this. So shout out to Squishy. This is his last regional, but G2 is going to win that one. Genji versus Snowman. I think Genji wins. I think it's going to be 3-1. Snowmen are pretty good. They took G2 to 5 games in the first regional. They did not qualify for the second regional, but they did decent in that first regional. They lost to this G2. Like I said, they lost to G2, and then they also lost 2-3 to Shopify. All their losses were 2-3 in game 5. So they had a pretty good performance in regional 1. Didn't make regional 2, so I think they get a game here. But I would say 5 games. But Genji, they got to lock in. They probably will be making the major. But since it's Swiss, you got to win all the games that you can. So I think Genji is going to really lock in and try to get that 3-1 easy. Luminosity versus Dignitas. Now this is a good matchup. This is going to be exciting. I believe these 2 teams played in Regional 1, if I'm not mistaken, and Dignitas beat Luminosity 3-0 actually. So they have that head-to-head there. I'm trying to find. I don't think they did play in Regional 2. They did not play in Regional 2. But I think Luminosity wins this one. I think it's going to be close, though. I'm going to go 3-2. So I'm going to go Luminosity in 5. Luminosity looked amazing last regional. They actually led all teams in that regional in goals per game. They scored 3.06 goals per game, which is very high. They led all teams last regional. So they've been grinding. They want to lock in that 3rd spot, which they should be doing. I definitely see them locking in that 3rd spot, that 3rd seed. Omelet versus Young Whippersnappers. This is a tough one. YWS, they did not make regional number 2. They did make regional number 1, and they beat NRG, but they lost to SSG, they lost to Genji, and they lost to Poab. So they had some pretty tough matchups. Omelet did make regional 2. They lost to Genji, Luminosity, and G2, but they did beat Dig. So they also had some tough matchups, but I'm gonna go Omelet. They have more of the veterans. I believe Omelet, that is Lion, Blaze, Anil, and Percy. And Percy is he's been around the block, but he's pretty good. So I think that veteran experience is gonna help him out there. OG M80. So OG, they're very disruptive, very disruptive, which is a very tough matchup for M80. They do not do well against teams that are disruptive, and that showed last regional when M80 lost to OG in the quarterfinals 4-2. AJ did say, I believe AJ said that he is in Toronto boot camping for this regional. I'm sure M80 have done a ton of replay review, trying to figure out how they can do better against this OG team. And M80 definitely is the better team. It's just a bad matchup for them, but they've had 2 weeks to kind of figure out what they want to do to rebuttal that OG playstyle. Nick is a pretty good coach for M80. So I'm gonna go M80 wins 3-1. I think if they do, fix their playstyle against OG, I think they should easily win. So I'm gonna give it a 3-1. TSM Boulevard, I think this is an easy win for TSM. Creams looked very, very good in regional 2. He's coming off a great regional. The team wasn't so hot. TSM wasn't so hot, but Creams was. He averaged the most score per game out of every single player last regional. He was averaging 1.13 goals per game. He had 71% goal participation, which was the highest out of any player that played 16 or more games in Regional 2. So he's coming off a hot performance. TSM's a sleeper team. You know, they could beat teams like Poab. They could beat teams like NRG, Shopify. But, you know, they've been pretty inconsistent, but they get an easy matchup here. Poab, NRG. This is a good matchup. NRG did play them in Regional 1, and NRG won 3-2. So NRG does have that little head-to-head against Poab. In my opinion, Poab has been the better team this season so far, so I am going to go Poab. I'm going to go 3-2. That's a very 50-50 matchup. That could go either way. That's going to be a good matchup. But I am going to edge Poab there in a good matchup. SSG Shopify. This is a really, really good matchup too. SSG played these two teams played against each other. SSG won 3-2 in Regional 1. So SSG does have that little 50-50 or not, sorry, 50-50 head-to-head. And I'm gonna say the same thing happens again. I'm gonna go 3-1 actually. SSG has been pretty weak in Swiss. They beat Akron 3-2. Well, they took Akron to 5 games, which, you know, should never have happened. In Regional 1, they did do a little bit better in Swiss, but Regional 2 they didn't do that well in Swiss. They should have swept Akron, you know, so on and so forth. But I think they are gonna lock in and be ready to go for this game against Shopify. Although I love Shopify, Shopify is my favorite team, but you know, I'm being unbiased. So G2 and Poab, I think G2 wins this one easy. G2 did play Poab, I believe, in Regional 2, and G2 swept them 4-0, so I'm thinking that they sweep them again 3-0. Gen G Luminosity. This is a good matchup. This is a good matchup. These two teams, I believe they have not played this season at all. They did not play in Regional 1, and they did not play in Regional 2. So these two teams have not played at all. So this could go either way. Very disruptive game play style from Luminosity, but I think Gen G will be able to edge this one out. The last time that I can remember Reddles playing First Killer was that 4-3 optic reverse sweep best of 7. If you guys remember, Reddles, AJ, and Magic reverse swept FaZe. First Killer missed and Typical. That was such a crazy series. FK and the boys could not play against that demo style of Reddles, but I think Appjack, you know, the leader of this team, is definitely a better leader than anybody FaZe had at that time. So I think he'll be able to, you know, weather the storm, calm the troops, so to speak. And I think Gen G is going to edge that one out as well. Omelet versus M80. I think this is an easy win. I think M80 is going to be locked in. You know, they're boot camping. They know that Swiss, you have to win every single game. If there's a 3-0 potential right there, you have to, you know, capitalize on that. You can't let this go 5 games. You got to sweep that. So I think they're going to be locked in. Do or die for them. So I see them sweeping that one. SSG, TSM, I think this is going to be a 3-1. TSM could take them to 5. They could even win. But, you know, these teams, you know, the Space Stations, the Shopifys, the Poabs, the M80s, they have to be locked in. I'm expecting some nerves to come out from these teams. But I'm also expecting these teams to be locked in because they have to be locked in. They just have to be. If they want to call for the major, they have to be. So that's what I'm expecting. NRG Muffin Man. How poetic would that be? NRG versus Squishy and Squishy's last regional. I got NRG winning that in 4. I do think Aqua and them boys can take a game off NRG, but NRG should be able to lock in. Drees actually performed pretty well. If we're being honest, Regional 2, Drees performed pretty well considering, you know, he was retired he was retired, came back, you know, off the couch really, and played pretty decent. So NRG looked good. Now they have another 2 weeks under the belt for Drees, actually playing with this team. So I think they'll be a little bit better than last regional. Got them winning that. Dig versus Snowman. This is tough. I'm gonna go 3-2. Snowmen could win that because, you know, I've heard on First Touch, they were talking about it. T Bates and them boys, shout out to First Touch. They were talking about how Dignitas hasn't been scrimming. They haven't been scrimming, you know what I mean? And it showed in Regional 2. Regional 1, I believe they got a top 4 finish. If I'm not mistaken, yes, they got a top 4 finish. And then Regional 2, they just flunked. They didn't even make it out of Swiss. They lost in 5 games to Omelet. They lost to Poab, and then they got swept by OG. So really, top 4 to not even making it out, not even making it to the top 8 is insane. And so, you know, that does add up. They haven't been scrimming. You know, they're not playing that well. Yeah, I think Snowmen could definitely win this game. You know, they have nothing to lose. And if Dig's going to be not scrimming like that, they're going to be a little nervous. I definitely could see an upset here, but I am going to go Dignitas 3-2. OG versus YWS. This should be an easy win for OG. I do have OG losing to M80, so they kind of, you know, they have to win this game here unless they want to go down 0-2 in Swiss, which is not favorable at all, obviously. Shopify versus Boulevard. That's an easy get-back game for Shopify. I don't think they've actually swept anyone this whole season, if I'm being honest. They didn't make it to Regional 2, and then in Regional 1, they actually swept Dig, but that's it. But I think they'll get a sweep here. G2 Genji, oh boy, that's a crazy matchup in round 3 of Swiss. I'm gonna give that to G2. They have the head-to-head. They just dominated Genji every time they played them. So until Genji put up an actually good fight, then I gotta take G2. M80 SSG. This is a crazy matchup. This is actually gonna be super pivotal for that 4th spot at the major. This is tough. Wow, this would be must-see TV, guys. This is gonna be a crazy matchup. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go SSG. That's tough, but I'm gonna go SSG. I think SSG are gonna come in guns blazing. Next matchup, Luminosity and OG. This is also another good matchup. I'm gonna go Luminosity in 5. Two teams that have very, very similar play styles. I think Luminosity just does it better. They have the better team as a whole. They have the better play style. I mean, they have the same play style, but they have it down better than OG. So I'm gonna go Luminosity. TSM Dig. This is a tough matchup as well. I'm gonna actually go TSM here. Like I said, Dig hasn't been playing that well. I think Snowman could easily beat them. So if they get a TSM matchup, that's gonna be tough for them because TSM they have a pretty low floor. We've seen TSM play pretty bad, but we also have seen TSM play pretty decent. And you know, they're a little sleeper team. They definitely could get some games against some pretty decent teams, and I think they definitely could beat Dig. So I'm gonna go TSM there. NRG versus Omelet. I'm gonna go NRG in 4, but that could go either way. You know, no team is like superior to the other. Ooh, this is a good matchup. Poab and Shopify. Wow, that's a good matchup. Poab's only losses this season have been against really, really good teams. They lost to Genji last regional. They lost to SSG last regional, and they lost to G2. And then in the first regional, they lost to SSG. They lost in 5 games to NRG, and then they lost to Dig. So I mean, really, their losses are against pretty good teams. But I am gonna go Shopify. I think if Shopify, you know, they missed out on that second regional, they have to come out guns blazing. Last time we did see them, they made a top 4. Like, let's not forget, regional 1, they made a top 4. They bombed out of regional 2. They didn't even make it, but they're here, they're back. And that's all that matters. I think they're gonna edge out a tough win against Poab. Snowmen versus Muffin Men. I am sorry, Squishy, but you know, your days are over. I think the young guns are gonna get this one. Scribbles, Frosty, Reveal. Shout out their coach, Impulse. Great coach, great guy. He's very good in the mental game. So I know that he's gonna keep those boys intact. Yeah, I got the Snowman winning that one. YWS Boulevard. I'm gonna go YWS. Boulevard, they haven't really done much. I don't even think they've made have they made a single regional this whole season? I don't think they had. They didn't make regional 1, and I know for sure they did not make regional 2. But yeah, this is their first regional. YWS did make regional 1, and they actually beat NRG, and they beat the Snowmen, so some decent wins. But I'm gonna go YWS. M80 TSM. This will be a good matchup as well, but I'm gonna go M80. Yeah, I'm gonna go M80 for that one. Gen G and Shopify. I'm gonna go Gen G for that one as well. I'm gonna go 3-0 actually. Luminosity NRG. These two teams just played in Regional 2, and Luminosity. Last time we saw them, Luminosity got their get back and they swept NRG. I'm gonna go in 4 games actually. And Dig YWS. Dig gotta win this. They just have to. I think YWS. I'm gonna go 1. OG Snowman. I think this is the end of the run for the Snowmen. OG, just the veterans. You know, you gotta give them. They got the experience. Omelet versus Poab. I'm gonna go Poab here as well. And then round 5s, we got some spicy round 5s. My goodness, these are spicy. Wow. Oof. NRG Dig. That's tough. These are just 2 teams that have like pretty good peaks but pretty low floors. But in all honesty, Dig has the better peak. We've seen them have the better peak. So I'm gonna go Dignitas in this one. TSM versus Poab. I'm gonna go Poab in 5. I could go either way, but I've seen Poab make 2 top 8s and lose to G2 in both of those top 8s, if I am not mistaken. Or they lost to Dig, and then last regional they lost to Poab, or they lost to G2. So I'm gonna go Poab there. And then Shopify versus OG. I am gonna go Shopify in 5. I think Justin 2-piece or if they get the job done. So now we have the playoffs, boys. We are in the playoffs. This is a long video. I'm gonna try to get it to 20 minutes. G2 versus Shopify. I think we all know who's winning this. Shopify gets a tough draw. Literally the worst draw you could possibly get. Gen G versus Luminosity. I did have these 2 teams playing, and I had Gen G sneaking out a game. I do think Gen G are going to win that one again against Luminosity. We'll get a tough draw. SSG versus Poab. I have SSG going 3-0. I mean, I have them beating M80. I have them beating TSM. I have them beating Rebellion. All 3 of those teams are good teams, so I do think they get the job done against Poab. I do think we get a very, very good LJ, who did perform pretty well last regional, if I'm not mistaken. LJ, he averaged 1.04 goals per game. He averaged 4 shots a game too. He had a ton of pressure. He averaged the most shots per game out of any single player last regional. I think LJ is going to come out peaking. Not peaking. He's going to come out playing very well though. And you know that's going to be a very tough team to stop when LJ is on his game. M80 versus Dig. This could go either way. But I'm going to go with the team that's grinding. I'm going to go with the team that's boot camping. I'm going to go with the team, you know, that has the better overall individual players. I'm going to go M80. And I'm going to say that they win that in, I'll go 6. I'll go 6. Because if M80, I have them, you know, fixing their ways against OG. Dignitas are kind of similar to OG. Evo gets some bumps. Arsenal gets some bumps. So, you know, if they could beat OG, I see them beating Dig as well. G2 versus Gen G. Like I said before, I just can't pick Gen G to win this game. If they had a close game against G2 in Regional 2, then you know maybe I could go 50-50, but they just didn't. They haven't shown. They haven't put up a fight against G2 this season. So until they prove that, until they prove me wrong there and they put up a fight, I just gotta go G2. So I'm going G2 again. SSG versus N80. God, that is so tough. This is literally probably for the 4th seed. Oh, that is such a tough. I'm gonna go SSG. I think SSG. I'm gonna go SSG. I'm gonna go. G2 SSG. Now, whoever plays G2, whether it's like, you know, I could have a completely wrong bracket, right? So it could be Gen G, could be SSG, it could be M80, it could be Luminosity. I do think that they have a very, very good chance of beating G2 in the finals just because, you know, G2's already clinched it, although they do want to go for that perfect split sweep, you know, like Vitality did in spring of last season. I think this is the best shot that anybody has to win a grand final against G2, but I do think G2 will win this and get this perfect split sweep heading into the major as the hottest NA team by far. And if we go ahead and look at the points, wow, we have SSG getting that 3rd seed actually, and Luminosity getting that 4th seed. M80 barely missed the cut. If they would have beaten, let's see, if they would have beaten SSG in this series, I'm assuming that they would have made it. Yeah, they would have made it. So yeah, whoever wins this series would make the major if this is how it ends up going. So I have SSG, which is funny because I can't looking at M80, Dig, Poab, OG, Shopify, SSG. The team that sticks out to me the most is definitely SSG, and then the second team is definitely M80. So it's kind of funny how it worked out that way bracket wise, because you know you could think a team has the best chance, but if they get they get drawn up with G2 in the quarters, it's just done for them. You know what I mean? It's all about how the bracket works out. So that's why you got to win your Swiss games. You got to get a high seed. And yeah, so I think SSG is gonna make it according to this bracket. G2, Genji, SSG, Luminosity. That would be pretty good from NA sending into the major. So if you guys like any of my takes or disagree with any of my takes, comment down below. Comment down below who you guys think is going to win, or who you guys think is going to qualify, because it doesn't really matter who wins the whole regional. We just want to know the top 4 teams that are qualifying. So let me know what 4 teams you guys got qualifying. G2 already made it. I believe Genji just needs to make a top 8 and they clinch. So they're probably going to get a top 8. I don't see why they wouldn't. And yeah, Luminosity is pretty in the clear to make the major. I have them only getting top 8 here and still making it. So yeah, comment down below who you guys think is going to make the major. It's going to be some very exciting games this weekend. I'm very, very excited. I'm stoked. I can't wait to see who makes the major. Regional 3 is always the best regional to watch as a fan. Hope you guys enjoy it. Catch you on the next video. Peace.